Fly out from Cairo to London, then to JFK, save £8,600 and enjoy British Airways first class.
If you've ever Googled cheap business class tickets, you probably found someone reclining in a lounge chair, sipping champagne with the secret to success. Sign up for a credit card using their affiliate link. Jan, on the other hand, has flown on over 50 airlines and been on more than 250 flights. And most importantly, he has a biological allergy to overpaying for pretty much anything. He's managed to book lie-flat business class seats for, and I'm not joking, less than the economy fare. So Jan, as someone who's practically lived in the air for the last few years, if someone wants that premium experience without the premium price tag, what is the number one thing they have to keep in mind?
Jonny, so most people have to stick to some schedule. Maybe the kid is going to school, maybe they can't take a leave all the time from their job, so they have to, they can't be as flexible as they might want to be. Mm-hmm. That's exactly why they have to overpay for flights. Airlines obviously know this. They know that people have to stick to schedules. So during certain periods of times, mostly school holidays, but also other events, flight prices, they rise. Airline pricing is incredibly dynamic. To fully take advantage of that, you have to have as much flexibility as possible. And that doesn't mean, flying Tuesday instead of Monday. Typically not. It's literally, in order to get the cheapest deals in business class and first class, you have to change your mindset. You have to become someone who looks for value, right? A value hunter mindset. Having the most flexibility that you could possibly have. And let's look at an example to visualize that. I actually looked up a flight from London to Buenos Aires. Buenos Aires, an amazing city, great steak, which I don't eat, but some people might. And if you want to fly there, let's say on June 21st, business class one-way flight with Avianca, which is a good airline, by the way, a Colombian-based airline, via Bogota, would cost about £2,600. That's quite a lot. But let's say you can fly on Sunday, May 17th instead. You'd be only paying £1,277. To really figure out when you can fly for cheap, you gotta look calendar view on Google Flights, and then you can literally pick the dates that are the cheapest. What I recommend is literally looking this up at the beginning of the year, then maybe once again in the middle of the year if you cannot find a cheap flight in the beginning of the year, and then look which periods of times are cheap. Let's say the destination you want to go to, or maybe the area you want to go to. If you want to travel to South America, maybe you can be flexible. If you find a cheap flight going to Rio de Janeiro, for example, instead of Buenos Aires, pick that city over the other. And then once you have that flight in mind, maybe you figure out that March is a good time to go, or May, to come back to our example, then you can literally plan your vacation around that. Maybe then just ask for leave with your employer after you figured out which flight dates are cheap, and that's how you maximize the value.
You have to be flexible. That's the big thing here, but that's going to be really challenging for people with children who are constrained by school holidays. It's also going to be difficult for people that are constrained by a preference on weather, Jan, right? The more popular times to travel will be when the weather is better.
Yeah, kind of. Obviously, there's some destinations where weather makes a huge difference, but then there are also some destinations where weather is not as important. Let's say around the equator, where you might have a rainy season and then you have a dry season. They will not have spring, summer, autumn, winter. They don't have that. It's literally just 2 seasons. You still have a discount when traveling in the rainy season. And to be honest, here, being in Panama right now, but having traveled to many other countries around the equator, I can say that I prefer the rainy season because there are less people there. The weather is typically a little bit nicer, so it's a little cooler, let's say 2 to 3 degrees Celsius less every single day. And flight prices are insanely a lot cheaper. Actually, dry season is not a time you want to go anywhere around the equator. And that goes for Panama, that goes for Thailand, that goes for many other tourist destinations.
That's true. But then how do you speak to the people with children? Like my daughter's currently in nursery. That means that she's really still not of an age where we have to stick to the school schedule. Mm-hmm. But within a couple of years, she will be. So children from the age of 5. How do parents deal with this, Jan? Doesn't sound to me like there's a solution.
No, there really isn't. For 18 years, you probably have to bite the bullet and pay a lot for flights. It's what it is, right? And airlines know that. And they'd be stupid if they wouldn't
tough.
Try to charge the most from you.
It is, and even when you're trying to collect Avios points and you're having to then look to redeem those points, or any air mile program point system, you're looking to redeem them for 3 business class tickets. It's more challenging as well.
Well, one thing I can also recommend is being flexible with your departure and arrival destination. So in London, I'd not, if I was living in London, I'd probably not look specifically for flights from Heathrow. I'd be very, very flexible and also consider other airports. Stansted, for example, which is not good for long haul, I believe, but there's some, there's some flights within Central Europe from there. Luton as well. And then you probably have another airport, I think, London City Airport or so. So be very flexible when it comes to airports, and maybe even consider going to a different city if the flight is cheaper. Obviously, if the whole calculation makes sense. But let's say you can save 200, or let's say you can save 500 pounds on a flight, on a long haul flight. Why not traveling an hour by car or two in order to get to a different departure destination? And the same goes with arrival destinations within Central Europe. Many cases, what you could do is fly to. I've done that in the past, actually. I found, as an example, I'm originally from northern Germany, and I had it a few times that flights to Amsterdam were actually a lot cheaper. In Amsterdam, it's about 4 hours by bus from where I used to live. And I got a cheap flight there, even in business class, saving probably 2,000 pounds compared to flying directly to my arrival destinations. And then I took a 5-hour bus trip, in order to get there. And, that might turn people off. That might not sound luxurious, but if you're really trying to make the most out of your travel experience, and I mean, drinking great champagne instead of sitting in an economy class seat and then maybe sleeping 5 hours on the bus, you got to do it.
It's kind of funny though, isn't it? Like to think that, okay, so say your business class flight lasts 3 hours, you accept that 5-hour coach journey for the 3-hour business flight. I mean, there's got to be some logic to your decision, to your choice. I like the idea of seeking out like a quieter airport or a different departure location, but it has to be, it has to make sense. It
has to make sense. And in general, within Europe, do not fly business class at all. It's not worth it most of the time. You're going to get these. You're not going to get a lie flat seat, are you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, but you did mention airports like Stansted and Luton, for example. Those probably aren't the best examples because they're like I'm flying to Portugal from Stansted, in fact, in September. And my wife and I, even with our daughter, we would happily get business class tickets for long haul, but when it comes to like short haul, Jan, it's just not really a priority because British Airways, for example, the business class or Club Europe really isn't worth it anyway.
Yeah, all of them.
But when you're seeking out the lie flat cabins, the really luxurious beds, the comfort that you get from those, then it becomes really worthwhile.
Yeah, that's also something I adhere to. I would not fly within Europe. I would not fly short haul business class. I think it's not worth it at all. It's just expensive, and it's kind of a joke, right? Because you're gonna have the same leg room than you would have in an economy class ticket.
Better food.
Maybe the middle seat stays free.
Yeah, and they provide some food, and obviously you get the lounge access prior, and like maybe some fast track.
Jonny, that's something for fancy people. I mean, I get it. Lying on a long haul flight, that makes a difference for my spine. That really makes a difference. So adding a stopover can really make a difference. In many cases, that's not only cheaper, that's not only free, but it's also cheaper. Good example. I was in Osaka last year, flying to Madrid actually, via Qatar Airways. In Qatar Airways, the country of Qatar, it seems like they want to attract tourism, right? They want to make tourism an economy because they see how well that's working in the UAE. Dubai is a tourist destination now, so they want to make Doha a tourist destination. And on the website, you can actually book a free stopover. And what happens is that they get you an incredible discount on hotels. So I was literally flying from Osaka to Doha, which is a 10-hour flight or something. And then I stayed 4 nights in the Hyatt hotel. Excellent hotel, really nice. I believe a 5-star hotel even, Grand Hyatt. And then I was flying from there to Madrid afterwards. And I paid less than I would have paid flying directly from Osaka to Madrid without a stopover. So that can really make a difference. And I had a great time in Qatar. In Doha, yeah, which is a hot place. But
that's specifically Doha and the government or whatever offering a benefit like that, right? The idea of adding a stopover, which is probably going to be uncomfortable. Like if you can get the Grand Hyatt, that's going to be good, but it's going to add further time to your trip, making being flexible even harder.
No, honestly, Jonny, I think there was.
Does it then wait? Then does it chip away then at the trip that you were going to have in Madrid or the eventual destination you were going to go to? The sacrifices that you're making in order to try and get cheaper business class tickets seem illogical. If you're going to have like a layover, which could potentially be more uncomfortable anyway. I mean, I appreciate you went to Doha and the government or the country, they're offering these benefits because they want to encourage people to stay there and spend money in their economies. Can you not see the irony in trying to save money to have a luxurious experience in business class, but at the same time adding things like more friction or more discomfort to your life in the layover time or the bus to your departure airport?
Yeah, if this was uncomfortable, I would have obviously not done it. I think if this was one thing, it was very, very comfortable because I got to break up a long journey, right? I had a great night of sleep, actually 4 nights of sleep. Got to experience that country, which is also an interesting place if you've never been. I've been before, but I still found it really, really nice. Had a good time there with my girlfriend. We've traveled around a bit. Was excellent, and I had an amazing total experience. I would have done that again. I would have even paid for it now looking back. But thankfully it was almost free. I believe the nights in the 5-star hotel cost me $30 a night or something with their stopover program, which is it was ridiculously
that's
cheap.
Great, but that's quite unique, Jan. You're not going to get that all over the world. So the idea of adding a layover or a stopover, it's not always going to be that same experience. In fact, it's probably going to be worse by a significant margin, right? No one enjoys layovers, do they?
I believe TAP Portugal offers something like that. I believe Turkish Airlines offers something like that. And I believe also Copa Airlines offers something like that. Several airlines offer that. I mean, that's not a unique thing. Doha, or the country of Qatar, was unique in the sense that they kind of subsidized it to some point. But with a stopover, let's say, especially if you're flying around busy dates, you can still save some money by just picking the next day or a day afterwards. When selecting a flight out of the country, let's say you're flying in. Today is the 5th of March. The 5th of May. Let's say I'd be flying to, a bad example, but let's say I was flying to Germany via Turkey from where I am right now. And that's actually, it sounds a bit ridiculous if you look at the globe, but that's actually a sensible route. That's what a lot of people do. Turkish Airlines flying from Panama to Istanbul every single day. Let's say the 6th of May is a day where many Turks travel from Istanbul to Germany, and therefore the prices are high. Turkish Airlines knows that, so they want to maximize the revenue. I'll have a layover, I'll be flying out, let's say the 7th of May or the 8th of May instead, enjoy 1 or 2 days in Istanbul and probably save some money in the whole journey and get to experience a nice city. Plus break up the journey and arrive more relaxed. And I think that's actually really clever. And that's something that people can do with all of these stopover programs, right? Some are better than others, but I definitely recommend you look into that. And, it's also nice to experience a new place. If you've never been, a few days in Istanbul, it's going to be a great time, most likely. A few days in Qatar is going to be great. A few days in Lisbon or something is going to be really nice. Why not?
That's available. Condé Nast have an article about this that I'm looking at right now. 6 airlines that are offering layover, stopover programs. Turkish Airlines, as you mentioned, TAP Portugal, Iberia, Icelandair, Qatar Airways, the Etihad. So it's there. It exists. It's something that I hadn't heard of before, and I can see it. I can see the benefit. It's just interesting to imagine that, the idea of adding a layover to your journey, which I've traditionally felt like is something being really stressful and annoying and a nuisance, can actually be really quite a good experience because it gives you the opportunity to explore new places while potentially saving money on business class tickets. This episode is sponsored by us. Specifically DepositScout.com, which is a site that Jan and I built with our fingers. Savings rates in the UK are changing constantly, and most people have no idea whether the account they're still using is competitive. The rate that topped the market 6 months ago might be in the bottom half of the table today, and your bank is certainly not going to tell you. DepositScout tracks every major savings account and cash ISA in one place, so you've got easy access, fixed rates, and they're all updated daily, and you can set up rate alerts so you're never caught out. We've also just added rate history graphs, and this is where it gets interesting. Take Plum, for example. You can see they've changed their advertised rate repeatedly over the past few months. So that tells you that if you like the look of one of their rates, you're probably better off locking in sooner rather than later before they move it again. All of that and much more is available at DepositScout.com. We'll put the link in the description box below.
While we're talking about countries to travel to, if you have the maximum amount of flexibility, and you really just want to go into a premium flight, one thing I can recommend, which I've taken advantage of a few times in the past, is to look at developing countries as a departure destination. This might sound incredibly abstract to you, but you can literally save thousands of pounds when you do that. Let's say a good example here. You want to go on a first class flight from London Heathrow to New York. That's a destination where a lot of business travel happens. A route where a lot of business travel happens, which means that the premium cabins are going to be insanely expensive. To be exact, first class flight, London Heathrow to New York, in our example here, £11,000. That's a fortune, right? And that's per person. It's insane. But if you start that exact journey in Cairo, as an example, the capital of Egypt, which is an interesting place to go to. They have pyramids, right?
They do.
Yeah, it will only cost £2,400, and you'd be flying with British Airways.
From Cairo to Heathrow to New York.
Exactly. So you're adding a flight, right? Another business class flight. You're flying from Cairo to London on business class, British Airways, which is, it's not going to be super luxurious, but it's going to be nice. British Airways has a good business class, which I can personally recommend. It's pretty nice. Also love the flight attendants, very polite, very English.
Sometimes.
So you're adding that to your journey, and then you're on the exact same flight that you'd be booking from London Heathrow to New York, the exact times, the exact flight in first class, and you'll only be paying £2,400. And if you want to try first class once in your life, that's the way to go. Have a look at North Africa, have a look at South America, have a look at other developing regions.
I'm trying to understand
and then book
this.
Premium flights from there.
Has that person flown to Cairo on holiday from New York and they're now looking to come home?
Could be, but it could also mean that, let's say you're in London right now, Jonny. You want to fly to New York. You want to test British Airways first class. Why? Probably not because you have to get there really fast, but because you want to have a luxurious experience without spending too much money. And you have a lot of time, right? But you really want to go onto that first class flight and experience it. Which is, to be honest, as someone who has... if you've never been on a first class flight, I believe everyone should try this once in their life. You could be flying, Jonny, instead of flying from London Heathrow over to JFK, you could depart, let's say 2 days earlier, fly down to Cairo for, £200, let's say. That's probably a lot. £200
in economy.
Yeah, that would be economy. Let's say £300 in business class. That's realistic if you book it clever. Then you're down in Cairo. You're going to have a look at the pyramids.
I think that sounds like a stretch. £300, sorry to interrupt you, but £300 from London Heathrow to Cairo in business class is...
One way, yeah.
Not going to happen, but...
Let's say 400. How many pounds, Jonny? It doesn't matter, right? Because you'd be saving £8,600. It's not going to be £8,600, okay? So whatever you pay, it doesn't matter, right? Fly down to Cairo, spend a few days looking at the pyramids, maybe even flying economy, because who cares? It's literally the same seat pitch. You're a tall man, right? You care about your knees, right? It would not make a difference if you fly in business or economy when you fly British Airways short haul or mid haul, It is what it is, right? Then spend some time looking at the pyramids and fly out from Cairo to London, then to JFK, save £8,600 and enjoy British Airways first class. But they know that people in London, right, are more wealthy than people in Cairo, and there's more premium cabin demand from London to North America than there is from Cairo to North America. So they price flights out of Cairo for cheaper. Another way to save, don't book business class directly if you have the choice, right? If economy, if you're like Jonny, it's probably a bad idea because Jonny is a tall man, as we've mentioned before. He probably doesn't fit well into economy flights, and under no circumstances he wants to fly economy long haul because his knees are gonna hurt. But if you are like me, maybe a little shorter, you fit in right fine, but you like the experience. You like the experience, and you're okay with going economy. Potentially can be worth just booking economy, then speculating that you can upgrade afterwards, and you're gonna save lots of money through that.
And this works. My wife and I rolled the dice on this. We booked for our honeymoon to Mauritius. We consciously booked booked. We were traveling in June. I think that's around winter, cold season in Mauritius. We knew the flight was pretty not empty necessarily, but had a relatively low occupation for Heathrow to Mauritius, or was it Gatwick to Mauritius, whatever. We consciously booked premium economy, Jan, knowing that we would then, if it was available, upgrade to business. And we did, and it was successful for both legs. Yeah. I couldn't tell you how much we saved, but I know it was significantly less than booking business direct.
This works on low demand routes, but if you're thinking of doing, let's say, London to Singapore on Monday morning, it's not going to work. You're going to have every single business class seat sold out.
You might not necessarily be able to get like your seats together as well if you're traveling as a pair. Business class and BA, they've got the nice cabin where you sit in the middle together as a pair, and on the outside you're kind of like offset with one another, so it's not as snug and nice. That was a bit of a downside, but we saved thousands doing that.
Yeah, okay, it's worth it, right? A few hours of peace of mind is also good, right? No, isn't it?
Mind for my wife.
Let's hope she's not listening to this. Yeah, it's what it is. One thing I can say also is, you know, when you book economy class, there are different booking classes that might not even be visible to you.
Yeah.
But within the airline system, what they do is they know what price they give you, right? And the cheapest price would be a certain class, and then the most expensive economy class price would be a certain class, different booking class. And if you're unlucky and you literally get the very cheapest economy class fare, can be that you're in a class that the system won't allow you to upgrade from to business class. That happened to me a few times actually, where I had to then bite the bullet and then take the economy class. So take a look, make sure that you know, if you have the choice, don't book economy light, for example, but go ahead and book economy classic if you're speculating on doing this upgrade afterwards. And then also one thing to say, airlines, typically airlines, they have two different ways of offering upgrades. One would be a direct upgrade, and the other thing would be a bidding strategy. When they use a bidding strategy, they typically work with different providers. Certain third parties are specialized on that. Plusgrade is, I think, one. Don't bid the cheapest. Everyone is going to bid the cheapest. Try to bid at least £100 above the minimum. Plusgrade is going to tell you how good your bid is compared to others. You don't have to bid the best bid. You know, that's often not necessary, but try to do a medium value bid, and then take advantage of that.
Everything is so gamified.
It is, unfortunately, it is.
Honestly, and it's all probably rigged.
Yeah, rigged in what sense? What do you mean?
Well, I mean, they're probably, when they tell you like how your bid compares to other people's, you know, that could just be rigged to encourage people to bid more and more. Ultimately, you should probably just bid what you think you can afford. Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. And to be honest, I don't have to fly every flight I do on business class. I don't. Absolutely not. I'm a normal sized person, not a giant like Jonny. I fit into seats perfectly fine, right? I might be a little uncomfortable, but it's okay for me. I can do it. And if I can save a few £1,000 or euros or dollars or whatever, I'll do it. I'll be fine. But I do like to fly business class once in a while. So also one way to fly business class for cheap is points, and we've teased it in the beginning of the episode. A lot of people they would approach these kind of videos in a way where they would tell you, hey, you gotta sign up for this Amex, you gotta collect this many points, and then you can fly business class for $50 or £50, right? We all know these videos, and I think it's not as easy, right? Unfortunately.
Spend X, save X. It's also like encouraging people to spend maybe money that they wouldn't have in order to get a flight that doesn't even exist or hasn't even been booked yet.
Exactly, Jonny, exactly. So it's I mean, does that mean that credit cards that collect points are bad? No, they're not.
No.
But you have to make sure that the card that you pick fits your unique situation. And I mean that by, let's say you're living in the UK, right? You're flying British Airways sometimes. Maybe you fly to Spain for vacations often. You choose Iberia then. And sometimes, let's say you want to go to Asia, right? And you use Qatar Airways. All of these are Avios airlines. They use the Avios point program. They're part of the Avios ecosystem. So you want to get a card that collects these kind of points. What you should not do is get a card that collects a certain point, you know, and then figure out which airline you can fly with that. That would be a waste, right? A lot of people do that literally. They see these videos and then, hey, wow, that's a great miles and more credit card. Let's go. And then they get that credit card and they figure out, oh, it's really difficult to redeem miles and more points from where they are based. And it's not good, okay? Not good at all. Yeah, and then, try to earn as much as you can, to be honest. And that doesn't mean, I don't mean triggering extra expenses, spending on things you don't need. But I believe if you have such a credit card, let's say the Barclaycard Avios Plus that collects 1.5 Avios points per pound spent, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good credit card.
Yeah, and there's also opportunities with the Barclaycard Avios Plus, for example, to get the cabin upgrade voucher. I think you just have to spend £10,000 annually to get that. That could be an easy way to get business class. You could get 2 premium economy flights. One you could use your cabin upgrade voucher for to get into business, and the other you might get lucky and be offered an upgrade for a discount.
Exactly.
So that could be part of a wider strategy.
Or you just have your partner sit in economy while you sit in business. Nah, better don't do that. Don't do that now. It's not going to end well in many cases.
You're obviously not married with a child.
No, all good. No, Jonny.
When it comes to finding the prices of multiple different destinations and routes, Jan, what are the best resources to use?
Yeah, just use Google Flights. That's probably the best way to find that up.
Have you tried any LLMs?
Oh, no, don't use them at all. Don't use them at all. I've literally tried that, and there's a lot of bullshit in there.
Okay.
And ChatGPT, to be honest, in many cases, just doesn't know what's going on.
Excellent.
But it tells you so confidently that you might think it's the case.
Yeah.
I'm getting angry just thinking about that. Not a fan of it at all. Not a fan of LLMs. Just have a look on LinkedIn. This is how you find the cheapest flights. Type this into ChatGPT. Type do this, do that, and then you get the best output, right? And then use Claude for this. And I'm sick of it. Literally. In many cases, using these LLMs, I get bullshit out of it. It doesn't mean that they are not good for efficiency.
Yeah, maybe once you booked your flight and you know where you're going, then ChatGPT might be able to provide you with a travel itinerary that could be interesting. That you should obviously.
Yeah, it's good for that.
Yeah, you should obviously check over. But when it comes to seeking out the best deal with flights, Google Flights sounds like the best place to look. This has been very insightful, mate. I must admit, it's difficult for someone who has a family, and flexibility is a lot more challenging for us. But we do have a large amount of Avios points that we've accepted that in order to redeem that we are going to have to be flexible. Hard to accept the idea, Jan, of adding greater friction in order to save money and have a better overall experience.
Yeah.
But I do see the benefits.
Yeah, and if you're flexible, just have an open mind and explore the world. Get to see a new country for free, or even get paid for it. Why not? Why not do it? So everyone, I hope you had a good time listening. Please write your questions into the comments. Let us know if you're unsure about anything what we just said, and what your general take is on these things. And yeah, it's been a pleasure as always. Jonny, do you have anything to say?
We'll see you in the next episode.
Well said. Goodbye.